All right, guys, for this video, we're going to move on to 5.4. It's called compound inequalities. So compound meaning we're going to have two inequalities that we're going to solve for the same problem. And this, we're going to only use ones where the two inequalities are separated by the word or. And I'm going to kind of show you right here. This is what, when you graph, this is what the graphs are going to look like, this right here. One inequality is going to go to the left when you shade, and one inequality is going to go to the right. Kind of makes sense, because you could say you could go to the left to get a solution, or you could go to the right. All right, I'm just going to go over 1 and 4 for this. All right, so if we zoom in number one, the inequality is actually already given to us. We don't have to do any math. I'm just going to go right to the graphing. So it has x is less than 1 or x is greater than 2. So let's graph it. Let's say here is 1 and here is 2. And if it's saying x is less than 1, it's going to be an open circle. And since it's less than, I shade to the left. Here, it's saying it's greater than 2, so it's an open circle. And since it's greater than, I shade to the right. So they kind of look disjointed. One goes to the left, one goes to the right. Well, now it's going to be a little bit different. Is we can take all these answers, and we can put them in interval notation. And almost all the answers, it's almost all real numbers except this space right here, which is really nothing. So I'm just going to erase that. All right. So I'm going to have two, I guess you could say, sets of interval notation. The first set, I'm going to put this in a different color. To cover this, well, this is going to the left, so it's going to negative infinity. And then it goes to 1. Since this is an open circle, I use parentheses. Okay, then I'm going to put U, because it means it's going to be union. And then we're going to include this part. Since this goes to the right forever, it's infinity, but it picks up at 2. So I always go left or right. So it's going 2 to infinity. So the or ones are a little annoying because you have to write two sets of parentheses or brackets, but that's what it would look like. All right, let's go to number 4. This is where we're actually going to do a little bit of math. So if you look at 4, I have two inequalities that I have to solve for, and then I'll graph. All right, so I have this first inequality, and I'm going to solve for this first. So I put the line straight down the middle. I just have two steps. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. That cancels. Add 3 here. So I have negative 3x. And then this 9 plus 3 gives me 12. Okay, it's still greater than or equal to. Okay, put a different color for the next step. Now I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. And remember the rules. If you divide both sides by negative, I have to switch this. So this greater than or equal to is going to switch to less than or equal to. So then it's x. And over here, this 12 divided by negative 3, that's negative 4. So I have that. Okay, then the second one, the negative 2x minus 6 is less than negative 8. I'm going to draw a line straight down the middle. And I'll do the same two steps. Say I'm going to add 6 to the right side. So I just have negative 2x on the left side. I have less than. See here, negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2. Then divide both sides by negative 2. So I have x, and then same thing, since I divided by a negative, this inequality symbol has to switch. So it's greater than, and then negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. So there it is. I have x is less than or equal to negative 4, or x is greater than 1. So let's graph this. All right, so if I graph this, let's say here's negative 4, to the right is 1. I have x is, here it is, less than or equal to negative 4, so this is a closed circle, and since it's less than, I shade to the left. Then for the next one, I have this is what, greater than 1, so it's open, and it's greater than, so I shade to the right. And then if I want to get this in interval notation, well, I go left to right. Since this goes to the left, it goes to negative infinity, and it goes all the way to this right here, which is 4, or negative 4. Now, since this circle is filled in right here, it's brackets. And then I put union, and I'm going to include the second part. This starts off at 1, but I'm going to have parentheses because it's an open circle. and then it goes forever to the right, which is positive infinity. All right, so that is an example of compound inequalities when you have the word or. When you graph at the end, one goes to the left, the other direction goes all the way to the right.